Directed by Martin Scorsese in '76, Taxi Driver isn't just an esoteric look into the experience of an outsider. Scorsese's storytelling gets down to the nitty-gritty details of the '70s, asks all the thought-provoking questions, and gives us a look into our anomalies, paradoxes, and inconsistencies. And for that reason, I think this is a really compelling text to study for the common module. The general plot is simple. Travis Bickle is an alienated Vietnam War veteran living alone in New York. He tries to integrate into the ward by falling in love with a woman called Betsy, failing, attempting to assassinate a presidential candidate to be recognized by society, failing again, and violently saving a child prostitute. Stemming from his personal isolation is a path to redemption that we all seek, but our experience changes how we achieve the same goal. Martin's Catholic upbringing made Travis's brute force a metaphor for salvation. Travis is equally capable of repellent violence and unrealistic compassion. He longs for a sense of connection, yet he shields himself from the world in a cab, his defense from God and the world's judgment. The phone booth scene following Travis's romantic fiasco is the film's most honest portrayal of isolation. After being denied contact, the camera reactively dolly tracks to the hallway to convey Travis's detachment from the connection he wanted. The hard lighting in tandem with the war symbolism of his Viet Cong jacket excludes him from the warmth and union touted by the pacifists. I was a person convinced by Hollywood's heroic narrative of the soldier. Taxi Driver showed me the true outcome of war. People are cast away and named the villain when their mission is just to hopelessly connect. This film is brutally frank about the particular lives of the past, and it will help students respond to the world at large. While the film noir-style atonality closes off my empathy from Travis, Scorsese's wide-angle framing takes visually from the Western genre, which inversely encourages my engagement with his denial. The scene's intertextuality with the searchers shows two men in different eras having the same experience, and to me it conveys how our response to isolation is a constancy regardless of the social context. Taxi Driver shows how we're able to unpredictably alternate between states of empathy and apathy. Knowing that this is the longest shot in the film, I thought Martin's choice communicated how seclusion is inevitable and life itself is disappointing. This is a confronting idea, but after several viewings, I've actually come to agree with it. Our history's proud highlights include genocide and sectarianism, so the notion that life's disappointing in this context wasn't too far-fetched. Travis's indifferent body language elucidates that he's somewhere between sleep and awareness, the purgatory between segregation and connection with humanity. The transition from about an eye-level shot to a long shot progressively dehumanizes Bickle as he steps into a world where his concern for contact is just dismissed. Red light is a policing sign to surrender, and the camera's stationary condition are all representations of how Travis, a reflection of us, is just dispensed into isolation. This contrasts with the freedom he experiences as a cabbie, physically unrestrained yet also perpetually alone. Travis Bickle walked away from the desire to be like other people and accepted his position as the pariah. Before, Travis mentioned that all he ever needed was a sense of some place to go, but the truth is there's no set destination for the other. His experience with loneliness is so profound, it becomes paradoxically shared with me and the audience. Arising from his isolation was a search for redemption that showed me even more incongruities within our behaviors. Travis achieves his redemption by ignoring expectations. In the shootout scene, Bickle commits an action only moral when carried out by God. He kills 3 people. Scorsese's perversion of Catholic imagery converts what could have been an aimless homicide into Travis's personal ascension. The camera's focus pulls from the room to Bickle's bloodied hand to present God's validation of his sacrifices. Taxi Driver presents violence as an abnormality, but it's also metaphorized as Bickle's only way to redemption. His facial expressions in the close shot are unusually content, and even strangely blissful. But the low-key lighting and the menacing score alongside the reddish color grading only suggest a state of sin and misery. What's illuminated here is that he killed for the world's sins, which to him was its non-acceptance, but he also dies for those vices. He becomes his own personal Jesus. Travis's hand gestures correlates his redemption with the militant spirit. He wishes to die in the state of honor learnt from his indoctrination down in Vietnam, igniting the idea that redemption is often misguided. The camera transitions to an overhead shot with slowed footage to indicate a perspective change to God, which Scorsese intended to show the final sacrifice of the mass. By drawing on his values, Martin enriches his insights into our psyche, assisting students like me to connect with Taxi Driver and the wider world. In Travis's wake is a trail of destruction and sin that everybody experiences, hopefully to a lesser extent. And notice the candles in the frame. Scorsese's church-like mise-en-scene creates a layer that suggests Travis's sacrifice was spiritually immortalized. The irony is that society praises the sadistic behavior as an act of heroism as shown in the striking shot. The biggest praise I can give to Taxi Driver is that I see new contradictions, gaps, and abnormalities in myself in every viewing. It perfectly expresses and reflects on post-Vietnam American faith. This is a film that I can come back to every single time and whose aspects creates a product greater than the sum of its parts. Watching the film in itself is an experience, and for that reason it's no less than a necessity to be studied in the common module.